Okay, so here's the VIS assignment for today. You're going to work with your providing site conditions and parameters from your design studios. You will develop methods for organizing and describing your rule-based site spatial transformation strategies, multiple iterations of the sequence of volumes. So I think we can go into one of the So the concept is essentially you have your site, you have your Boolean difference, and you have your individual objects, right?
Yeah.
So I can now sequence each one of them as a series or a diagram. So like exampled in the process here, I can keep Boolean differencing or keep adding to the same sequence of a diagram. So for example, I can start with my red object here. Then I Boolean difference from this with that. Now I have that as the difference. I can then additionally push this out so that when I'm looking at it in the axon, it'll show up. And then I can add the polylines so I don't have to do it later in Illustrator, right? Just like we did previously with the, you might not even see those. Do you guys get it?
Yes.
So then it's a sequence, right? So I'm going to copy the same box and I'm going to move it down. Here's sequence number 2. Was red number 2? Red was number 2. And I can copy this with it. You might even want to group that so it's easier to copy. All right, so now, and you would want to make sure that these are spread far enough apart. I think I made mine too close, but we'll deal with that when we come to it. So now number 2 is blue. So I could take blue, copying this out. From here with there, blue's out. Go back here. Take blue. You would be doing this with your vessels once you just figure out what the design is, right? And then I can even take the blue one and push it out. Maybe I want it there. And then I could use the polyline tool to draw it back in. And you can change those lines. Looks like I forgot to change these lines. Cool. Does it make sense what I'm doing, everybody? It's a lot of work. I'm probably going to give up and not do all of these, but as an example, I wanted to show you the process, and now it's also recorded so you can refer to the process later. So you Boolean difference again. And then drag it along. I didn't even use the brown color. Did I? So then with each sequence, you keep copying the same situation. Take yellow next. Copy over yellow. Boolean difference. Copy over yellow. All right, for the life of me, I have no idea where that one is. So I'm going to go back and steal it. So now I can actually use it as a reference. Oh my God. All right, last one, right? Just green left. All right. Now it's all there. So you can set the view, make sure it's the right view that you want. You could probably set it to an isometric. Maybe that'll look good. Hide that stuff. You can look at it in the rendered view. Maybe in yours would actually be colored. Mine looks pretty freaking wild right now. All right, so I saved that. I could even look at the ghosted view. I forgot to save it as a PNG. My computer is slowly giving up. All right, so then we can make 2D. Everyone's totally paying attention. It's super cool. Right, so you got the top view. Export it as the Illustrator file. Save it. Open up Adobe Illustrator. All right, so once you have Illustrator open, you could take your lines. Exactly. So you want to be careful how you're rendering these things or how they're going to come up. I think it would be really cool if the rendered was potentially if the color part was rendered.
Do we have to have like texture?
No. No, I'm just doing it because I like it. I like it because, but I didn't get it to look right. I didn't spend enough time. I literally, made this during Kim's presentation. No, I always pay attention. I was also being productive.
It's our.
So if you line them up correctly, hopefully it will help add some context. Move my face to the objects. And then potentially, if this might work. I don't know if I'm going to like this or not. Cut, layers, new. Make sure that it's on a new layer. Make sure all this stuff is on new layers. Okay, so now I have all of this on. I don't think I saved that in the right location, but that's fine. I'll find it later. Or could I take that object and mess with the opacity? Nope. Nope. So you could kind of adjust it with the Rhino rendering and kind of create something interesting. And then go back in here. Forgot to do it with the object layers on, but you would select all your dashed lines and then just make them dashed. And it doesn't even have to be colored. You can make it black and white. But it's just a way to like quickly put together the sequence of events or the sequencing of events. You could do one where you have all of them exploded. You could do one where you just keep removing each individual piece. So like the example in the VIS assignment shows each item, but in this assignment over here, it's only showing one at a time. Both of them work. It's just how you want to tell your story. All right. Do you want me to go over the next step? The next part of the assignment? All right, so part 2 is the foam model. You're using the contour command to create a series of vertical contours 4 feet apart through the vessel, resulting in 16 sections. Join curves by polysurface. I am pretty sure that if you use an exploded version of your model from the last assignment, I'm very certain it might not work because of how exploded it is, right? So instead of using this, the idea is that you're going to use your new Boolean difference site, right? So for example, if I use this little fun thing that I was putting together, I would take my final version and I want to make another copy of it because I'm crazy. All right, so you take your Boolean version. And then you're going to go into using the contour tool 4 feet apart. So this 64 feet by 64 feet at 4 feet apart will give you 16 individual sections of your model. So then you select your object, you go to contour. It says contour plane, base point, range, assign a layer. What I forgot to do is you're going to want to make a new layer called contour. So when you do this, it'll get assigned to the new layer. So you're going to be drawing in the contour layer. For example, I'll make the lines magenta. So select the object, type in contour. It says contour plane base point. That's your bottom left. Then you click your bottom right. You're just going the full length of your project. Honestly, it doesn't matter if you go left or right because they're equal distant. Click here. Then it says distance between contours. 2 feet? No, I want 4 feet. Type in 4 feet, press enter. That's this really cool animation where it draws each one. It's really fun. But it makes this object for you, right? So then what I would do also is I can select my thing and I can even copy this out. And now here is my contoured images, right? Join curves by polysurface. I think if you select all of them, you can join them. You could probably do it when you're.
I don't think you can join them with a touch.
Yeah, but there's some way to do it.
We just threw it.
Ah,
Cool.
no, the way that this. Oh, did I miss a step? I might have missed a step. Hold on. Contour. Join curves by polysurface. That's it. And then you select the object, 4 feet, press enter. There we go. So now it's basically the same thing. So align all the sections in order, make 2D and export the drawing to an Illustrator file at 1 foot equals 1/8 inch. So now what I could do is I'm going to use this as my base point. So what you could do is you could group it. It might be easier that way. And it looks like I maintain my top left line anyway. So you could look at the top view. Type in group. And as everyone has learned so far, if you just keep going down the line and press spacebar, it's going to perform the previous command. Hopefully everyone knew that. If not, that's good too. It looks like some of these are just single lines. All right, so the annoying part is to line these up. What I'm going to do, I'm going to make another copy, and then I'm going to slowly rotate this. So I'm using this bottom point as my starting point because that's on the 0, 0 plane, the infinite plane of 0, 0, right? So I technically could just move this one over, go to 90, and then move it down. Move this one over, 90, down. Over, 90, down. So these are my sequences, right? You could also make new layers if you wanted to. So if you wanted each one to be its own layer, so you could do your so you could technically do like contour 01, CO2, or like C3, C4, C5. You could do it that way if you wanted to. Just so if you wanted to control it, you could. If not, we're going to just keep moving these objects. Does anyone notice what I've been doing by accident? It's upside down.
Yeah. Just like all them. Just rotate them, yeah.
That fair point. As long as you're consistent, that's what matters. It's like I'm sure there's an easier way to do this. I just don't know it. I also saved a video on my YouTube channel this morning that makes like cool contour diagrams of your like three-dimensional objects. Four left. Are you guys doing this with me, or there's no point because you didn't make the model yet? The sequence is something we should have taught you much earlier. You guys could have learned the sequence in your first week.
It's a half an inch. What'd you say? It's 16 envelopes? Right?
Yeah.
Which I mean. Yes.
All right, so here's my sequence. It looks like the way that they set it up here is 4x4s. So for example, I could take my first 4. I could take my second 4. My next 4. My next 4.
Yeah, well, that's true too.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, I think.
Whatever. For example, this is what it would look like. So now I go to my top view. Oh, you didn't have to rotate it. You could have just kept it in the top view and just moved them. But then they wouldn't have been aligned. It gets weird. I like it when it's all aligned.
Yeah.
Then you could lay it out as a series of 8.5 by 11 sheets. So if the scale is 1 foot equals 1/8 inch, you can select everything here. Go to print. So I made it as an ArcD as a PDF, which will give me the vector output. For the scale, it's 1/8 inch, so 1 foot, et cetera, et cetera. And then by doing this, did everything not fit? Everything's not going to fit. Ah. All right, I'm going to take the top two rows, print. Cool. I could print that, but it's not gonna. All right, I'll just print this, see if it works. Row 1 and 2. So I'm just setting the print to 1/8 inch. Row 3 and 4. This should fit on an 11/17 for the last two. If we're lucky. Okay, cool. So 5. So now you open up Illustrator again. Isn't this great? Got to get all of these on a piece of paper because you're going to print them all. So it looks like 2 fit on an 11/17 piece of paper. So under here, you can go to more presets, print. Inches 17 by 11, 11 by 17. Create. And then you could simply just add these into your project. So there's the first two. Click the vector. So you could open them up in individual Illustrator files. Simply just taking it froze. All right, so then you can copy each one. And you could add more artboards. So here's the first one. Here's the second one. And what I would honestly do is once you get them on here, add text for yourself so that you can keep track which one's which. You could either do 1 and 2 on each page or just type it in the sequence. There's 1. 2. And you just keep going. So there's 3, 4. 5 and 6. And 7 and 8.
You need a copy.
Just make another copy of that so you still have it.
This was cool. I like it. But is it gonna be too much?
And then when you're done, file,
Inside, I mean, I feel like Charles.
you should be able to just make them into PDFs. All artboards.
Our main objects right now, but then it's still attached. It's some shape of that. I think this is almost over. No, because I just noticed the flaw that.
11 by 17. Scale is 1:1. And there you go. Then you would print these out, cut them up, attach them to foam. So for example, if I were to just simply take all those contours and extrude them as each individual piece, you could see that I'll get straight line objects, which is going to be very similar to what your model is going to look like. You're essentially just making these individual puzzle pieces. So by the end of it, when you get in here, yeah, I mean, I would.
And each of those are a half inch big.
Yeah. There's no stairs.
Is this the only visible one?
Potentially. So now you'll be able to understand what the space is like on the inside. Does anybody want to try it? It's still sharp. Little sharp.
Is that the entire actual model, not just the?
It's the one before. So when you do the model, you're going to basically going to be taking your soft object, and then essentially it's going to go from this to this, based on your individual pieces of foam. I forgot to cut out the piece in the end. But yeah. Good luck.